Hello friends, today's topic is organizational culture. Okay, first let us understand what is organizational culture. Its meaning. So, organizational culture is beliefs, customs, traditions, and values shared by the members of the organization. The members of the organization they share certain beliefs that they believe, the customs they follow, the traditions they follow, the values they follow. So, beliefs, customs, traditions, and values shared by these members of the organization is called as organizational culture. So, if you want the definition, according to really organizational culture is the set of assumptions, beliefs, values, and norms that are shared by an organization's members. Again, it is the same as the meaning of organizational culture. So, it is the set of assumptions, beliefs, values, norms that are shared by an organization's members. So, every company has its own culture. So, if you think of Google, it has open office culture. So, here the employees they can work wherever they want in the premise. And if you think about Infosys, they have the culture of accepting the diversity, and they exceed the expectations of the clients. So if you just remember Apple company, its organizational culture is innovation. So like this, every company has its own organizational culture. Types of organization culture. So there are certain types. First one is strong culture. So, in strong culture, the core values of the organizations are widely shared and eagerly embraced by the large number of employees. So, in this strong culture, if a company follows strong culture, where what happens? Core values means the fundamental values, the significant values of the companies, they are shared by large number of the employees. And one more thing is employees who are deeply committed to them. They share and they are committed to these core values. And then a strong culture will have significant influence on employees. If a company has strong culture, so then a significant influence that will have on employees. So this is strong culture. So next one is weak culture. In weak culture, what happens is, so there is a presence of several subgroups, several subcultures sharing a few values. So in weak culture, if a company has weak culture, so there you can see several subculture, different groups. So these groups they share a few values and behavior norms by employees and existence of few sacred traditions. So here sacred traditions are few. So there are many subculture in a company. So that is weak culture. Next one is dominant culture. So this is very simple to understand. So in dominant culture, what happens is core values which are shared by majority of the employees. If majority of the employees, if all the employees share core values of that company, so then we call it as dominant culture. Next one is subculture. So in subculture, what happens? It is a group of people with culture which differentiates them from large culture. When a company has a large culture, so then in that company, so there is a group of people. So group of people with culture, so which differentiates them for larger culture. This group of people, so they have culture, so that is different from large culture in a company. Next one is authoritarian culture. So in authoritarian culture, power is concentrated on the leader. So here the leader means CEO or MD of the company, or a board of directors. So here the culture is concentrated on the leader, and obedience to orders and discipline is stress. It is something like dictatorship. So here authoritarian culture, only the power is concentrated at the leader only. So these are the different types of culture. Next point is functions of culture. What are the functions of culture? Why we need cultures? First function is it provides recognition. The organization is recognized by its culture. Whenever people name an organization, the culture attached to the organization is immediately remembered. So whenever we talk about a company, the culture that company follows comes to mind. So whenever we hear Infosys, whenever we hear TCS, Google or Facebook, the culture of that company comes to our mind. So this is recognition. Second function is create boundaries. Organizational culture creates the boundary beyond which no employees are permitted. So culture is nothing but that this is the boundary. So nobody is allowed to go beyond that boundary. So it can create boundary. Next one is provide self-satisfaction. Organizational culture provides the facilities for self-satisfaction. Employees get internal satisfaction with an esteemed culture. People are more satisfied this uh, with this way than when their individual's interests are fulfilled. When an employee is company working in a company, so then uh, if he is happy, if he is satisfied with the culture that exists in a company, so then it provides a self satisfaction to that particular employee. Next function is it provides stability. The culture of an organization provides stability. People prefer to continue with an organization. So if the company has a strong value, it has a strong culture, so then it provides stability to the company. So then people may not quit the company. The culture can, what we can say, it holds the employee together. Next function is set standards. Employees get an opportunity to set standards of performance. So if a company has a culture, so where standards are set, so here employees get an opportunity to set the standards. So they try to achieve the standards. So whatever standards set, so they try to achieve it. So it becomes a self-control mechanism which helps the organization to grow and flourish. Next function is acts as a motivator. So definitely organizational culture acts as a motivator that guides and control employees. So satisfied employees get more spirit and enthusiasm for performing their respective jobs. So presence of a culture in a company that will motivate the employee to work more for the company. So then directs towards goal achievement. So if a company has a culture, so that culture will help the employee work more so that the company can achieve the goal that it has set. Last function of organizational culture is it generates positive attitude. So culture gives rise to positive attitude and behavior which are again in addition to culture. So because of existence of a culture, a positive attitude can be seen in the people. So it refers to various cycles of positive behavior. So that is culture. See here, culture leads to good behavior and good behavior makes a good culture. So these are the different functions of culture. Creating culture. How culture is created? The ultimate source of an organization's culture is founders. Founders have a vision of what the organization should be. The founders who founded the company, so they have a vision of what the organization should be. So how the culture is created? So here there are three steps. Culture creation occur in three ways. So there are three ways the culture is created. First one is founders hire and keep only employees who think and feel the same way. The founders who started the company, so they keep and they hire the employees who think and feel the same way they think. Second point is they indoctrinate and socialize these employees and to their way of thinking. So first they select the employees who think the same way they think, and second one is they indoctrinate. It means they preach, they teach them, they teach these employees so that they can also think the same way these founders are thinking. Third one is, and finally, the founder's own behavior encourages employees to identify with them and internalize their beliefs, values, and assumptions. The third point is, so when these employees start working, so the founder's own behavior encourages the employees. The founders who have founded the company, so their behavior encourages the employees and identify with them. So the employees they will start identifying with the beliefs, values of the founders. When the organization succeeds, the founder's personality, see, when the organization succeeds, the founder's personality becomes embedded in the culture. The fears, they have given an example how the founders beliefs, founders assumptions are embedded in the culture. The fierce competitive style and disciplined authoritarian nature of Hyundai, the giant Korean conglomerate, exhibits the same characteristics often used to describe founder Chung Ju-yoon. So Chung Ju-yoon, so he is the one who founded the Hyundai. So the culture at Hyundai is the same as the characteristics of this founder. So here the characteristics they have given: fierce, competitive style, disciplined, authoritarian nature. So these are the characteristics of the founder of Hyundai company. Okay. So this is how culture is created in a company. So next one is how to sustain culture. You have created culture in a company. How to sustain it? So there are three ways. There are three forces play particularly important role in sustaining culture. So once the founders have created the culture, how to sustain it, how to continue it. The first point is selection. So when you are selecting, candidates for the job, so you have to select a candidate who will fit into the organization. So identify the people whose values are essentially consistent with at least a good portion of the organizations. The candidates who are being selected, so their values should be inconsistent with the company's values. So then those who perceive a conflict between their values and those of the organization can be. So if any candidate thinks that the values he follows and the values the company is following, if they are different, so he can quit the process of selection. So this is first thing is select the candidate so whose values are inconsistent with the company's values. Next one is top management. So the top management plays an important role in sustaining the culture. The actions of top management also have a major impact on organization culture through words and behavior, and senior executive establish norms that filter. So if the top management, so they follow the culture, it automatically filters through the organization. So it passes through the lower level of the management. For instance, whether risk taking is desirable. So if the top level management, if they are taking risk, so then automatically people at lower level manage they will also start taking a risk. So what is appropriate dress? Of course, top management. So this top management plays an important role when it comes to sustaining the culture. So they have to lead by the example. So whatever they do, that is followed at the lower level of the management. Third one is socialization. So first one selection, top management, socializes. So no matter how good a job the organization does in recruiting the selection, new employees need help adapting to the prevailing culture. So when new candidates are inducted in a company, so they need to adjust with the company. They need to be socialized. They need to be told the culture of the company. Okay. So if they are socialized in a company, about the culture so that is being followed, so then you can sustain the culture. So these are the three forces with which you can sustain the culture. Next one is how employees learn culture. Employees, how they learn the culture of a company. So first one is through stories. Every company has rags to rich stories, zero to hero stories. So then these stories, by listening to the stories of a companies, the employees learn. For example, if you see the story of Dhirubhai Ambani, so he was working in a petrol bunk, how he started a giant company. So by listening to the stories, so they will understand the culture. By rituals, so rituals are repetitive sequence acts. So there are some rituals, they are integral part of a company. So they follow this. For example, awarding the best employer every year, so they have this function. So then hosting the employees dinner. So this type of rituals repetitively, they are being done in a company. So through these rituals employees learn culture. Next one is material symbols. The parking space for executive, the size of the room he sits, the executive, the CEO or the manager, the room where he sits, what type of room is this, type of the office he has, and other benefits are linked to one's position. So these are also symbols. So that shows the culture of the company. So then whether it is an open door, especially the boss, whether the door is open or if it is like a bureaucratic one where it's very difficult for the lower level of the management meeting the boss. So if this type of administration is there, so that is also symbol that shows the culture of the company. So last one is language. See, most organizations and subgroups intend to use typical language of the room. So professional jargons are relating to a particular industry. If they use those words, people will easily identify the management people by their language usage. Maybe practice of wishing each other. So whether they wish each other when they meet, or they prefer to ignore others, or they may use a code language within the group. So these are the things that make the employee learn the culture. So this is how employees learn culture. Thank you.